Hey everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Dr. Angel Storm. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm talking about something that came to my attention through the course of somebody who came to me for help, and something that I really want to talk about so that people are aware of how narcissists can take advantage of people who are already in a state of needing extra help, and even taking advantage of people who are in a protected group. And so, without giving away too much detail about this specific situation that I was asked to help with, there was a situation where somebody was diagnosed with a mental illness and has been on medication for that for many, many years. However, there was a person with narcissistic traits aware of the fact that this person had this illness and used the fact that this person had that illness to blame a certain situation on that person. And I know that this is kind of vague about what I'm talking about. I just want to be really respectful of this person's privacy. But this made me realize that vulnerable populations are even more at risk when it comes to dealing with narcissists, or when they interact with a narcissist. We know that narcissists use our weaknesses against us, and that can be even things like caring for people but not having boundaries, or having a set of ideals and belief systems in our lives that we feel very strongly about, but having no limit to when those values are of no longer service to us but are actually enabling abuse, right? And so when we have a situation where we're already predisposed to being perceived as dangerous or not capable or not competent, or that there's something wrong with us, it's really important that you have more of a support system around you. I've talked about my story a lot on my channel, and so I know firsthand what it's like to just be so hyper focused on something that you kind of throw everything else out the window, that you don't pay attention to red flags because of what you want. It supersedes the red flags and the abuse and even other people's warnings to you. But when you know that you're in a state where your mental health is not as up to standard as normal, it's really important then that we either have safety measures in place when we interact with people around us, or that we limit the amount of interaction that we have with people until we can take care of ourselves. Self-care is the number one thing that we can each do, we can each invest in to make sure that we don't tolerate abuse of any kind, whether that's narcissistic abuse or emotional abuse, mental abuse, any type of abuse, that we just don't tolerate it. When I'm healthy, I know how to treat myself to maintain my health. When I'm not healthy, I'm accepting not only not treating myself healthy, myself treating myself healthy, but I will also tolerate other people treating me in an unhealthy way. And so having the awareness of, I'm in a fragile state, I'm in a more vulnerable state, and I need to take extra precautions to who I interact with and what I say to people, and how long I hang out with them, or how I interact with them, is a necessary thing when I know that I'm not when I don't have all my full defense mechanisms up and running, when I don't have my full analytical abilities working at that time. I know that for a lot of people, if they weren't depressed when they got with a narcissist, when the narcissist entered into their life, they quickly became that way. And there's a difference between being in health and not being sick. Does that make sense? So I can be in a state of not being sick, but that doesn't mean I'm healthy either. And it's those people that are typically targeted by the narcissist, but there's also times when the narcissist will specifically prey upon people who they know are unhealthy, because if they interact with that person, not only are they typically an easy supply, but they're also a great scapegoat. And narcissists love chaos, they love drama, they love being the center of these kinds of things. I've talked about this before, where they're both the master of the situation, they're both God of the situation, they've created it, they've designed it, they're orchestrating it, and they're also the victim of that same situation. And so it's important to recognize that when a narcissist feels there's not enough of that around them, they will absolutely create it. And choosing to involve somebody who's already somebody that society would label, or somebody that society would already suspect or have predisposed feelings of untrustworthiness towards, is going to be a primary target for the next narcissistic supply. And this is because it's easy to then not only have an instant boost of like a lot of scandal around them, but also it can create an ongoing, a prolonged scandal around them. This is one of the reasons why court with the narcissist is so often prolonged. It is a never-ending supply for the narcissist, for their story to be heard, for their theatrics to be put on, for people's time to be wasted and revolving around the narcissist. All of these things are things that the narcissists love. And if there's not any kind of thing going on like that, the narcissist has no problem creating it. And for them, they're actually getting a supply. They're not feeling drained. When most people go to court, when most people are involved with a legal process of some kind or the other, writing police reports or doing things like this, it's draining for them. It's not natural for them. But for narcissists, this is a prime opportunity for them to get their tank filled up with the narcissistic supply. And one of the things that is very concerning to me, especially now, is that there's been there's an increase of people with diagnosed mental health issues, and this means that not only are those people having to find their way during this vulnerable time, but that they're actually creating kind of a target on their back, so to speak, for more abuse to come, because they're vulnerable and because it's easy to target this group of people. And so we need to be aware that while we're in a state of healing, we're trying to get healed, we're still vulnerable during that time. And not everybody who comes around and seems like they're going to help us is actually going to help us. And I've talked about this some on this channel already, but we need to have discernment about who we're speaking to, because not everybody wants to hear your story. Not everybody will be honoring of your story. A lot of people will not want to hear that story. It's too much going on for them. It's too traumatic. It's too crazy. It doesn't make sense. How could that happen? There's too much going on and they don't want to hear it. They don't want to get involved in it. But for some people, that story is a literal inroad to make you more of the abusee. Like, they are coming in to make you suffer more because you have shared your story with them. So not everybody is going to be trustworthy, obviously, with your story, with your history, with your experiences. And when you're in a state of healing, it's really important that you're still you still protect yourself so that you can heal the parts of you that are most vulnerable, most wounded. And until that happens, it's really important that you have a plan of how you're going to interact with people. So in this specific instance, this all came about because this person was at an event where there was a lot of people, but they were by themselves. They didn't have they had friends there, but they weren't with their friends at the moment of an incident happening. And this was the start, this was the inroad of isolating this person, of causing a lot of drama and using this person's weakness, this person's you know what, I don't even want to say a weakness, because the person had been taking steps to manage and to get healthy in their body and in their mind. But nonetheless, they were isolated and by themselves. And because they were not around people who could protect them, there was an inroad used against this person when they were in a state of weakness. And then it was easily flipped on the person who was actually the victim. And so I'm doing this video so that people who are in the process of healing, whether that's from narcissistic abuse or some other thing, maybe the past year has given you unusual levels of anxiety or depression, or maybe there was a death in your family, or maybe there was a severe loss in your life. Whatever may be causing some elevated stress in your life, it's important to recognize that by itself can be an avenue that abusers come into your life, that there's going to be predators who are looking to take advantage of you in this time of weakness, and that you need to have some protocols in your life based off of your lifestyle and your habits in life, but you need to have some protocols in place for how boundaries are going to be established. And I talk about this a lot on this channel. Healthy people need boundaries. By the way, the reason they're healthy is because they've gotten boundaries. And so you have to be even more diligent about enforcing boundaries during the healing process, because if not, things can get out of control and you will find yourself in a worse state than before, all because you made contact, you made some sort of connection with people who did not have your best interest in mind. And so I wanted to just do this video so that people are aware that, especially from the past year, if there's things that have gone on that have caused you to just lose a little bit of your joy, or to not be as at peace as you were before, or even if it has nothing to do with the past year, but there's some shift happening in your life. Maybe you lost your job, or somebody close to you passed away. If there's some kind of shift in your life, that's all it really takes, that vulnerability from your state of norm to allow a narcissist to come in and then to use that thing against you. As I said in the beginning of this video, there's a difference between somebody who isn't sick and somebody who's healthy, right? The illness side is on the far side. Not being sick doesn't mean that I'm healthy. And so it's really important, to know yourself, know the state of your being at this moment. And if you be honest, if you are in a place where you need to get into healing, you need to get healthier, be honest about yourself with that, and take measures to get yourself into the health zone, but also ways that you can protect yourself from creating connections with people that can actually not will they only leave you where you are, but they'll actually drag you back into into a space that you're already trying to get out of, further deeper into an unhealthy state, a sick state. And so I just really felt that it was important to do this video at this time, because I think that there's an increase of people taking advantage of people who are not yet fully healed, and so I want you to be aware of this and to make a plan for your life. How will it look to introduce new people into your life? What will the qualifications be? What are some of the norms that they need to portray during that time? What kind of communication habits and techniques do you want to have that person or those people interact with you when they first start communicating with you? You need to think about the details, because it's those small things that we can often say, oh, that wasn't a red flag, that was just that person's personality. And before we know it, we're connected to them very deeply. And we're trying to get out, but we're in a worse state than what we were when we met that person. So I hope this video helps you. Please share it with anybody that might need it, and please make a plan for your life. And if you are close to somebody who needs to do this, sit down with them and help them, help each other to make such a plan, so that we can get to where we want to go. We can achieve our goals. And if you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe to my channel below and turn on the little bell so that you're notified whenever I upload a new video to this channel.